talking about the trial of the decade at least. Obviously, O.J. Simpson seems to be the trial of the century. And we're going to follow this case. Yesterday, the jury, one of the jurors said that they were not understanding the judges. They were not understanding the judges' orders as far as the jury goes. So we give people a little time to come in on this live feed. Very important case going on in Brooklyn, New York City. That is Sean Diddy Combs. He can walk out today as a free man. It does not look good. I think the jury wanted a quick verdict, ready to go home. He was not able to make bond. He had plenty of capital, but he was just not able to make bond due to the allegations. So Sean Diddy Combs can walk out of the courtroom at any moment, any time whatsoever. He can walk out actually as a free man today. Hello, my friends. Hello. I see you already checking in. I greatly appreciate the support. You can always go to $@photography plug, the Cash App to support. This is about capitalism. It's so very important. That very capitalism is so very important. Sean Diddy Combs can come out of the courthouse today as a free man. We know that the Federal Bureau of Investigations obviously has nobody to oversee their affairs. In other words, the feds can come in and say and do whatever they want to do. But one thing they can't do is violate somebody's constitutional rights of the United States of America. We have to hold that power as American citizens to say whether a trial was fair or not. Obviously, one of the jurors are saying that yes, the trial's not fair. You see that company right there, 2 Men. I used to work for that company. Obviously, it's a pretty good company to work for. 2 Men in the truck. Go out there, go ahead and book them up. No hard feelings, guys. All these job sites, you're never going to be treated fairly. Those young gentlemen on that truck are probably more than likely not going to be treated fairly at the end of the day. They're going to use their backs and their muscles, and when it's all over, they'll be going home probably with less of anything. That is the reality of what America and American society is. Today we're talking Sean Diddy Combs possibly walking out of court, possibly heading to prison. That's right, Sean Puffy Combs possibly heading to prison. To a federal prison, not to Rikers Island. That is a state funded, ideal, incarcerating black and brown people. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie is not an issue. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie is not the issue at hand. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. This is taking place in a Brooklyn courthouse in New York City. The possibility of Sean Diddy Combs walking away free looks bleak. I think the jury is fighting over a sentence of 425 months compared to a sentence of 279 months. My friends, they supposed to have due diligence in every aspect. I can say, don't waste the American people's time. If we're arguing over the fact of him spending 40 years or 60 years in prison, that is a very important argument, but it's not the argument people want to hear. He'll be 90 years old by the time he's released from prison. So just imagine Sean Diddy Combs being 50 some odd years now, and he's sentenced to 35 years. He'll be a little bit too old to be released from prison. The mogul, One of the biggest moguls in American history. Most of these people out here would never see that type of money. Even this family here, they would never see that type of money. $500 million. I don't care how hard an individual works, that's going to be very hard for any individual to make that type of capital. They probably won't see $2 million, maybe not even 300,000 cash. If you ask those guys, the family right there, for 300,000 cash, my friends, you'll be in a lot of trouble if your life depended on it, because I'm sure they don't have that liquid funds. This black man was worth $1 billion when he was first incarcerated, far more than anybody in history, really. Most people won't have $500 million. The possibility of having $500 million is so very low. Somebody said $500 million will be the second richest in Holland. Shouts out to Holland, a very amazing country. We'd like to go and visit there one day. But this P. Diddy trial represents business. As we see America's business, we see America's business drive by, possibly lawsuit if they hit you with any of these vehicles. Remember, slip and falls in America, 1 million lawsuits every single year. Forget about discrimination, slip and fall, whether you're at your job site or whatever. Now, Sean Diddy Combs and his beautiful family, his beautiful twins and his youngest daughter, they even came forward and said that's persuading the jury. That's not persuading the jury. That's simply showing that he has a young daughter, maybe 2 years old, and he has 2 older daughters, teens, 18. That's not persuading the jury. That's a reality of who's going to be missing Sean Diddy Combs. Now, if you expect the jury to come back and give you, and if we walked over to the courthouse right now, what we're going to see is black and brown people being targeted by the police officer. And this just doesn't happen in this city. This happens historically in America, in American society. It's 100% historical in America and American society. Black men working for white America. And a lot of things that we can't say because, of course, we're on YouTube. So you notice the FedEx driver, you notice the people that's the laborers, you notice the people that's actually working for this company here, 2 men in a truck, the people that's able to, those people that's able to lift whatever they have to lift to make the funds, whatever they have to funds, is obviously this not this couple on the right hand side. Guys, Sean Diddy Combs could be a free man today, walking out of the courtroom, hugging his family, and getting back to business as usual. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie are not going to be investigated anytime soon, I promise you that. There's no jail cell that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie can possibly be a part of. You know I'm telling the truth. You know I'm right. We'll be reading some of these comments. This is not Rock Nation. This is not Jay-Z. We love those people, but they're not going to be getting back to you anytime soon. We're actually going to answer your comments, and we care about our fan base. So if you can, go to $photography plug at Cash App. We don't have a problem with people. We have a problem with entities. We have a problem with entities, as you see these black men here working, trying to figure it out. The young white guy right there. That's a reality. I'm showing you how it works. I'm showing you how America works right now. Another guy walking up the street with his hands in his pocket, ready to do no hard labor. That's when I said felons are the future of America. Because I guarantee one of those gentlemen might have a felony. And they're able to be strong enough to lift all of that equipment. The new requirement of the President of the United States of America is going to be felon. Sean Diddy Combs is not even a convicted felon. Sean Diddy Combs is not even a convicted felon. Like, comment, and subscribe. You could see the people that's ready to infringe into the workforce. That's not one of them. There's another brown face or black face. The reality of this society. The reality of this society and what's actually going on in this American country. With Sean Diddy Combs possibly going to prison for a very long time and possibly life. That RICO racketeering case holds life by itself. These are 3 charges. The RICO by itself, one of the last charges hold 15 years. He'll be sentenced to 15 years. This jury does not want to do that, my friends. This jury wants to sentence Sean Diddy Combs to a maximum of something like 325 months in prison. Can you imagine being sentenced to 325 months in prison? That's not the only sentence that he will receive. Even more important, the idea of if this company, if Bad Boy goes under, like Suge Knight's Death Row. Suge Knight ran over 2 individuals in broad daylight on video. One of them lost a leg and the other one lost his life. This is not a story about a Suge Knight. This is about a more organized person that you might say, well, that's organized crime. There's no John Gotti here. Everybody knows Sean Diddy Combs is soft. Nobody he signed is a hardcore artist. Anybody could have taken advantage of an overweight Biggie Smalls. You got to have something better to do than this. Diddy is going to welcome to Turd Tuckler convention. He's going to be on Johnson Baby or you are, sir, being a victim. So I just read all of the comments right there. We respect your comments. Comments are very important. Very important. Allocation is even more important. Guys, I'm no victim. I'm a free American citizen. I do what I want to do. I'm not on the back of the truck sweating for a European. I'm enjoying my life. You should enjoy your life. A free American citizen does what he wants to do. I own mine. I own my car. I own where I'm staying at. I pay taxes. I come from a very wealthy family. I apologize if I'm not working on the back of your truck today. I apologize. If whatever you make don't make the money your career decision. It's not all about the money, my friends. They're broke. 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 They're all broke. They're broke people. These people probably don't have $10 cash. Better yet, any money into the bank. America is a broke country. That's why we're talking about somebody who made $500 million. Because the possibility of you making $500 million is little to none. More like would never happen. It would never happen for you to make that $500 million. That is a reality that you must face. That reality that, yes, social media is the new wave. It's a new wave. It's going to outlive all of us. So people say, why are you on social media? Listen, we have a pretty good following. We feel good about our following. And we feel good about ourselves. Even your insults make us feel good. They say 95% of all social media likes might get bullied. You have to understand, we have over 1 million comments, 1 million shares, and 1 million likes. I think on that Young Thug video is 200,000 likes. Sean Diddy Combs has been an icon for years. Before social media ever broke, there was Biggie Smalls. That was Sean Puffy Combs. That was Tupac Shakur in 1996 that lost his life. We're not saying things are not circling around him, allegations, but we're saying the Federal Bureau of Investigations are going to have to do a little bit better on locking up brown and black people, and especially if they're worth $500 million. Real talk, I greatly appreciate your support, especially if they are worth $500 million. The likelihood of you being a success in America is very little or none. It's only about 10 people, including Donald Trump. It's only about 10 real people that's not out there today driving buses, driving bus planes, breaking their backs for a company that's not going to ever care about these individuals, white, black, brown, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. They will work you until you can't work anymore. And you turn around and you say, well, I got enough for a beer. Oh, you don't have enough for a beer. I have enough for $100. You work all day long and all night long for the same exact result. White privilege is not going to work in 2025 and going to the future. White privilege is not going to work in this case. They said a 51-year-old scientist. He's a 51-year-old scientist said no. The jury started bullying this individual, saying, no, you are going to go along with what we have to say. The jury came back, and we're going to try to stay live until that verdict is in. That verdict being innocent or guilty, you better believe it's a guilty verdict. Sean Puffy Combs is not coming home no time soon. He was denied bail, meaning the trial was actually a mistrial. If he's mistried, he could be tried again. Do you think they're gonna, how many sex traffickers, you have to think about that, how many sex traffickers get paid millions of dollars like Cassie? You can go through a list of missing kids or missing adults in this country, real sex trafficking cases. If I was a defense attorney, I would have said when Sean Diddy Combs had that, if you notice, they were playing a game in the elevator video. That was a game that they were playing in the elevator video. You've been there with your girlfriend. Every night is not honey, 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 honey. If he put baby oil on his leg and he used a shoe, his intent was not to hurt because she was not hurt. They were more like wrestling. If I take my shoe and I kick this tree, right? Because I have a shoe on, I can kick it hard. But if I take my shoe off and I have on socks and I kick somebody and I push them with my foot, what's your attention? You notice after that, she got up and went to the corner. They're both on drugs. They were both, it is illegal to be on a narcotic, but it does not require a life sentence. The most a person received in America for driving without license is one thing, and you see the black man still working while the white kid is right there just standing by. Who really runs America? And somebody said, free Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez went to prison and said, hey man, I'm in prison. I'm gonna make an album. Rule number one, never do that. You're trying to outshine the inmates. Oh man, I'm gonna go platinum. You already went platinum. Checks his streams, it's over 1 billion. Check his streams. Tory Lanez streams, it's over 1 billion. Over $1 billion. I mean, over 1 billion views before he went to prison. So the issue wasn't views or people seeing your music. It was a fact of you standing like a man. And I will say free Tory Lanez, but you're standing like a man and say, I have to do this time without saying, I'm going to outshine the world. I'm going to be the best rapper in the world. And of course, any inmate is going to say, no, you're not either. Because they're not going to see the money that Tory Lanez is going to see when he's free. So Tory Lanez never shine. If you go to Zone 6 and you get in a fight with Gucci Mane, if you want to get out there, you might have to pretend like Gucci Mane just knocked you out. You better not go to Zone 6 and knock out Gucci. You better know where you're fighting at. I think somebody invited me to Vegas. They said, yes, Mayweather. I know you want to fight Mayweather. Come to Vegas. Listen, there's a lot of deserts in Vegas. You have to think a little bit smarter than that. It's super fans out here, people that are more so fans. These people never have to do anything. These artists, the fans would do it. The fans would do it for them. Say MMA fighters kick harder without shoes. P. Diddy is not an MMA fighter. MMA fighters do kick harder without shoes. But if I had on my Timberlands, my friends, and as you see, look, white guy just standing there while they do all the work. You could tell by his body shape. You could tell by his body shape. Nobody can, you could tell by how they're working. They're working hard. By how he's working, he's just, his body shape. They're feared, they're scared, they're afraid. They're afraid. They're afraid of a person with a social media presence. So he had a good point. MMA fighters, yes, they fight better, but the intent. She went back to that hotel room because when's the last time you got in a fight with your girlfriend and it wasn't on video? When's the last time you got mad and your girlfriend slapped you and you slapped her? How many domestic violence calls, not even calls, disputes are going on right now in this country? A whole lot of them. If you broke up with your girlfriend many years ago, chances are her new boyfriend is probably slapping her around. How many times have your girlfriend told you to choke her? She likes it. Do women want a weak man? Do lions want a weak lion? I mean, we can go on forever about this case and about what's going on in Brooklyn, New York City. We could go on forever. But you have a great point, MMA fighters, but if Sean Diddy Combs was there in the hotel lobby with his towel on, number one, you can't do too much with your towel on. Your towel will actually fall, right? Your towel will actually fall. And people say, well, how many people are actually winning? Another black man working for another, you know what company. So how many people say that people are actually winning in this country and worldwide, or whatever you want to say? How many people actually say, well, Americans are winning? How much is that guy worth right there? How much is that guy worth right there? How much are people's net worth? I'm not selling you a Jesus Christ. We're talking capitalism. This is what we talk about, especially on a Tuesday morning. We talk the importance of capitalism and the importance of trials, the importance of convictions, and understand if a jury is holding out, that juror shouldn't be bullied into a decision that he or she does not want to make. The jury wanted to come back with a swift decision, guilty on all charges. Where in the world would the Federal Bureau of Investigations house Sean Diddy Combs correctly? Tory Lanez already stabbed 14 times. They should be like a sex offender. Sex offenders don't even get incarcerated because it's a death sentence. We talk tough subjects here. And we don't want anybody to commit any crimes. We want people to follow the directions of what's important in the laws. But if the laws were made in a way that put you in a situation where you and your spouse were arguing, and you were arguing so much with your spouse that you got so mad she slapped you and hit you with an iron, you ran. And then all of a sudden, you put your hands on her, but she didn't call the police. This led to another act of lust, narcotics, drugs. Many of us never use the drugs that P. Diddy used. Me personally, I never use those type of drugs. Imagine being on those type of narcotics. Imagine being on those type of narcotics. If you're on those type of narcotics, my friends, anything. And somebody says, nobody wants a weak spouse. Very good comment. Nobody wants a weak spouse. So you have to prove your manhood somehow. We're not saying abuse, but we're saying, how long does relationships last when you ignore arguments, when you don't become mad, and you don't stick your chest out? How long does those relationships last? Where you say, well, I'm not going to argue with you. Well, she'll go argue with the guy at the bar up the street, and they can go pop pills. And next thing you know, your wife or your girlfriend comes home with makeup all over her face, taking pills at the bar, getting $100 bills. And while they're getting, and the thing about certain demographic of America, they're losing, and they're so behind in education. You know, black women are more educated than any other person in America. I had a coworker that came to work every day. Well, you know, I'm rich. I stay in my trailer. And that's what they sound like. That's exactly what they sound like. So if Sean Diddy Combs took his foot, basically didn't have on shoes, had on socks. If you have on socks on your feet and you kick something like that, your intent is way different. Listen, if I had my steel toes on, it'd have been a different story. Now, if I go up to this tree and I slap the hell out that tree didn't move. But even if he would have hit Cassie with that, she would have fell on her face. She would have fell right on her face. With one solid move, she would have fell right on her face. If he would have really went up to Cassie and would have said, watch out, one solid blow like that, she would have probably passed out. Everybody know P. Diddy is soft. What rap artist is harder than P. Diddy? Everybody. Tupac Shakur, harder than Sean Diddy Combs. Diddy didn't even sign anybody as soft as French Montana and his French braids are. He only signed soft artists that he could get over on. He never signed artists that could actually make a difference. That's assault. So how many times do you get assault and battery and you're facing life? It was assault and battery. He should get, if he's not a convicted felon and you get assault and battery, but they're saying RICO. They're saying they're saying if everybody drives the speed limit today, if everybody gets a ticket today, if anybody speeds, if everybody in America got a ticket for going 1 mile per hour over the speed limit, everybody will be a criminal, right? You go to district court. Be